Are Netflix and Meghan Markle both starting to hit the panic button, but for very different reasons? Because I think Netflix knows how poorly With Love Meghan actually performed and how few people actually made it through the entire series. And they've banked their whole sort of entry into the lifestyle space on Meghan Markle. Sort of a terrible bet here. And you see Ted Sandros in an article we'll go over in Variety talking about Meghan and citing things that happened 3 years ago as a reason to really become a passive investor in her brand. Sounds like a great idea. Then we also have Meghan Markle very strangely sending a personal note to a podcaster after the podcaster watched Meghan's trailer and went, "Oh, this is sort of looking kind of bad. Meghan's sort of looking inauthentic." And Meghan needed to send her a personal note about it in her fancy cursive. It's very weird. And so I think they're both pressing a bit of the panic for different reasons. Netflix knows it probably bet on the wrong horse, and Meghan Markle knows her show didn't do very well. In fact, the word that Amanda, this podcaster, used to describe Meghan Markle's With Love Meghan trailer was that she looked inauthentic. And is that not what we all have said when it comes to Meghan Markle? She had a reason to be a little bit nervous about Meghan's show, and I think Meghan's freaking out about it as well because I don't think this is going to go very well. And I'm going to explain to you why I think that is. What are some of the things going around, especially in the streaming space, where although they're happy talking things, there's a lot to be nervous about as well. So we are going to get into it. But if you haven't been to Royal News Network before, hello, my name is Brittany. I provide compelling royal commentary. So feel free to hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you back. And I do have some of my Ana Lucia diamond jewelry on today. And I did want to shout out as well their jewelry cleaner. If you haven't used this yet, it smells amazing and it has sort of a rose scent here, and it is able to clean your jewelry very, very well. You just spritz, brush, polish, and rinse with water, and voila, you have a gorgeous, either your ring or your earrings, all shining and glorious and brand new. And so there's a great deal here. It's also like sort of a display piece that you can put on your counter at home, like in your bathroom or whatever. So if you guys are interested in that, feel free to check out the link up above. I would love to have you do your own little trial of it and see how you like it. It's really a really cool piece of jewelry cleaner that does just an amazing job. So guys, link up above, link down below, and let me know your thoughts. Use code ROYAL20 to save 20%. All right. So I should have gotten into this yesterday, guys, but I will let you know. I'm going to keep the members really well informed about this. But I have discovered that there's actually a bird's nest that has been made in the wreath that was on my front door. So I was a little obsessed about that yesterday. I kept trying to get a picture of the birdies, was not successful there, but there are 3 eggs actually in the little nest thing. It's really cool. She picked a great spot, I got to say. So my dog and I are actually using Miss Pippa using the back door instead of the front door because I'm just so worried about making sure not to disturb mama and the eggs and the babies too much. So we shall see. But yeah, I was really, really distracted by that yesterday. I did forget to mention Harry's visa release. Obviously, there was nothing there. So nothing really big to talk about. They should still release it. We'll see if that happens. But we had a couple of these pieces and they're weird for different reasons and they're very telling for different reasons because I think Netflix is starting to freak out a bit and I think also Meghan is starting to freak out a bit because they have, I think, a lot tied up in this As Ever brand, which is, in my opinion, not well run so far. And I put a lot of this on the shoulders of Meghan Markle because Netflix has revealed a lot in this article, and I don't think it's necessarily looks too great for them. So let's look at it. So this is Ted Sarandos, who is the head of Netflix. Now, this is true. Netflix has won the streaming wars, but you could almost say that is just the initial battle, but the battle still goes on because Hollywood is running into a lot of problems. People aren't going to movie theaters. Streaming spends a ton of money on television series and movies and everything that probably didn't have to. That's probably never going to recoup the costs of. And then we have just the general decline in quality of films. That means fewer people are tuning in. And so this is not all rainbows and roses, as I think some people like to portray it. There's a lot of actually big issues here. So let's go ahead and down and read into his little bits on Meghan in this piece. So it's a long piece here, got some questions, but he is asked about Meghan Markle, and he had some interesting comments, and I think some that are rather curious. This is his bit about Meghan. So he actually, just above here, he was talking about Ryan Murphy. What happened to him? Some people were surprised he left Netflix for Disney after his deal was up in 2023. It says he made great shows for us in general. I would say he had an enormous commitment to 20th century. That would be Fox, and his old deal that kept us from really utilizing his potential. No one really had a lock on Ryan Murphy. I'm super pleased with the Watcher and Monster series has been phenomenal. I was just out to visit them shooting the Ed Gein series, and the performances are insane. It's what Ryan does so uniquely. There was never any animosity or hurt feelings, and I will continue to work with him. So he had a couple of series like Monster. One of them I know was on, what was his name? Jeffrey Dahmer, the serial killer. Ed Gein, obviously, is the serial killer that inspired Psycho, the movie. So that is what they're working on right now. But Monster, that series of Ryan Murphy's was very successful. Let's take a look at actually the viewing figures and then compare that to what Harry and Meghan have outputted. So it became Netflix's second most viewed English Netflix series of all time and the fourth highest across any language, with 701.37 million hours viewed in 21 days. In 60 days, it became the third Netflix series to pass 1 billion views. So, million hours viewed is different than obviously actual viewers. So that you have to kind of divide the time of the series by the viewers. But still, that's insane metrics. Those are insane numbers. But then you get to Meghan Markle. It says you just launched Meghan Markle's lifestyle series with Love Meghan, and you have a stake in her as ever business. You are making and distributing physical product from edible flowers to baking mixes. Is Netflix interested in e-commerce? He just goes, we're passive partner in Meghan's company, and it's a big discovery model for us right now. Basically saying they've kind of left it all up to her, which is kind of really, really dumb. So if you know nothing about the business, you want to partner with somebody who does know something about the business. Meghan knows nothing about the business. She has never sold e-commerce stuff before. Never. So you're basing this entire discovery process, because here's what's happening with the streaming wars in general, is that Netflix is a company that their entire model is subscriptions for streaming. And then in addition to that, some subscription services have advertisements attached to it. So you have to go through commercials. So those are their two primary revenue streams, are subscribers and the ads. The thing is that you will reach at some point what we call market saturation, which basically means you have the entire audience or the entire consumer base you're already going to have. The ability of you to increase that is going to be kind of limited. And Netflix has increased it. I think they had another increase in subscriber bases, but it was a lot of people who were subscribed to Netflix before. They were people who were piggybacking off of other Netflix subscriptions and then had to switch out based on how Netflix changed things. That's sort of how that whole situation came about. So when it came to that, Netflix was able to sort of gain more subscribers that way. But honestly, in some places, in some countries, let's say South Sudan, you aren't going to have any subscribers in South Sudan. You're just not. It's just not going to happen. There's not the infrastructure there. And there's plenty of countries like that. Yes, there are 1 billion people in India and Pakistan, but are they going to become subscribers? Probably not. They're probably not going to get into the Chinese market because that's very, very, very heavily regulated. I don't think they're in China. Let me double check. I'm pretty positive they're not in China, though. Yes, it is not available in China, in case you were curious. Again, all this stuff works together. And so if they could get into the Chinese market, they would have a huge potential $1 billion customer base. They would have a 1 billion customer base, but they're not going to get in there. And you have other countries where there's just not the infrastructure. People don't have the money. So you have a lot of these situations where Netflix is just going to reach the level where it can't go any further. And so that's why they're really relying on the advertising model. And they may even at some point, you may not be able to pay for an advertiser-less platform. And I always pay for no ads because I sort of hate ads. But it may come to the point where in order to make money, they have to put ads in. That's the only way they can go forwards. So what Meghan offered, and this is not a bad business plan, but what I'm saying is Meghan was the bad person to bet on, is that if they could get into other spaces, like they're opening retail outlets, which yes, retail is dying, but they're more like experience platforms. And then Megan's lifestyle brand, hey, maybe we'll make money on that. That's not a terrible strategy. The problem is they bet on the wrong horse because Megan's business model right now is sort of terrible. Her Instagram game is really terrible. It's all really terrible. And the reaction to her show was very terrible. And so let's go ahead and listen to, or read, I guess you could say, what he says next here. And they're asking the same thing I did. Honestly, guys, I read this yesterday, but honestly, I did not plan on this. Why was she the right person to bet on? Great question. He says, I think Meghan is underestimated in terms of her influence on culture. Dude, she's not underestimated. I would argue she's not underestimated at all. And the thing is, the influence on culture is toxic. I would say, having been somebody who's watched royals for years, Meghan Markle added a massive level of toxicity to royal watching that did not exist before. That was all Meghan, all Meghan. So this idea that we underestimate her terms of influence, no, it's just that her influence is terrible and horrible. And the thing is, people are not watching her to watch her succeed. They don't really want her lifestyle. They don't really like her. And so the whole premise of a lifestyle brand is that you want to buy into their lifestyle. I don't want to buy into her lifestyle. I think her lifestyle is hollow and shallow. It's all about the money. It's all about the designer goods and those sorts of things. It's a very shallow existence that she leads. And so I don't really want to buy into that. And I don't think a lot of other people do either. He says, when we dropped the trailer for Harry and Meghan docuseries in 2022, everything on screen was dissected in the press for days. Yeah, because it was bad. They were ragging on their family. Does he not get that? Yes, you saw dollar signs, I'm sure. But when it came to the actual issues, it was dissected negatively and added to them negatively, not positively, negative. The shoes she was wearing sold out all over the world. Oh, the Hermes blanket that was on the chair behind her sold out everywhere in the world. Do I believe that? Actually, no, I don't actually believe that. But here's the thing, too. There is something like the Meghan effect, but I want to show you something real quick. I have been watching this dress because I think it's sort of an interesting, you could say, metric, because supposedly everybody wants what Meghan wears, right? Well, not exactly. So this is the dress that she wore to the Invictus Games dinner the night before. Now, granted, there weren't great pictures of this, but guys, this thing has been on sale since February, $475, which is still a lot, and it's available still in all sizes. Oh, except for 14. All sizes, it is available. What does that tell you? That the Meghan effect might have been active in 2022, but it's now 2025, buddy. It's a different ballgame. There's a lot that's happened with Harry and Meghan between 2022 and 2025. Their reputations have taken a nosedive with Spare, with South Park, with disaster tours, so many different things. Meghan's Uvalde stunt, although I think that was still in 2022. All these sorts of things have decreased Harry and Meghan's likability. And in fact, the more they see Meghan, generally the public, the more they dislike her. So this idea that you can bank on the Meghan effect to sell her wares, I think is a mistake. Also, when it comes to Hermes is very different than the stuff Meghan is shilling. She's shilling a spread. I keep wanting to say jam, but it's a spread. She's shilling baking mixes. She's shilling tea. Those are very different products to Hermes blankets. And Hermes blankets are also made in small quantities. When it comes to Hermes, it's sort of the limited quantities that's a big deal. And honestly, I do not believe every Hermes blanket around the world was sold out. I think Meghan believes that. I think Meghan's team wants Ted to believe that. I don't think that's true. I don't think Hermes would say that's true. Let's just Google real quick and see if that comes up. I mean, just in a quick Google search, guys, I don't see anything that says every Hermes blanket sold out all over the world. I didn't put in Meghan Markle because I feel like that would cross-sect with this TV series, but that's not out there. Did her shoes sell out? Some of them, yes. Did they all sell out all over the world? Probably not. I think he's wildly overestimating. He probably maybe does know that, but he's wildly underestimating her ability to sell things. Again, I go back to the ALC dress. Why isn't that sold? It was on Meghan. Shouldn't everything Meghan wears sell out? It's even on sale. You even get a half price. Why aren't people buying it? maybe because they don't like Meghan Markle as much as they could. And then also, very interesting to note, she's still stuck at 2.5 million followers on Instagram. That's actually quite small for somebody who has as large a platform as she does. And in fact, I was reading an article about something entirely different. And there is a video of a woman and she's sitting on a plane, and this mom is like kind of berating her for not moving her seat or not giving the window seat to her child. You know, the whole big debate over if people didn't book their tickets correctly, do you let them move or whatever? Big question, of course. But then, it's so funny, guys. It's so funny. This girl has 2 million Instagram followers because of that video. Meghan Markle has 2.5 million and she's wildly famous. And she can only get 2.5. And this girl who just had a viral video also got 2 million followers. That's pretty bad. And as ever is slowly ticking up, Megan's slowly posting more, but none of it's all that interesting. None of that even reflects the brand at this point in the lead up to the launch, because Megan said it would start in spring. It's spring today. So why aren't there so many different like little things that she's doing right now in terms of actually showing the product, showing her using them? Right now, she's showing blueberries, cabbage, onions. And she's not selling blueberries, cabbage, onions, or strawberries. She's selling jam or spread that's raspberry. She hasn't even shown raspberries. She's shown other berries, but the berries she's actually selling. So we have a berry spread, we have teas, and we have mixes and honey. Why isn't she showing any of those things? It makes no sense. So I think Ted is, no offense to him, wildly overestimating here. And I think really banking on something that's sort of a one-hit wonder, which was Meghan. Meghan was a one-hit wonder. And yes, some of the things she wears does still sell out, but does it sell out the way it used to? I don't know. I don't think so. So let's get back here to the last line. People are fascinated with Meghan Markle. She and Harry are overly dismissed. Well, yeah, because they're grifters. They don't have a particular talent here. There's a very good reason why Harry and Meghan have struggled. It's a very good reason because they're not good at the careers they're trying to do. And Harry's seen the writing on the wall. He's given up. And he says people are fascinated with Meghan. They're not fascinated in a good way. They're watching the train wreck. That's what people are. It's ambulance chasing. It's basically watching the disaster unfold and just thinking to yourself, how is it that somebody who had the best opportunity in the world to be a royal left it to shill jam on Netflix? Seriously. It's pathetic. It's a pathetic downfall. And that's what fascinates people. It's not her herself in terms of, oh my gosh, she's so talented. Oh my gosh, she's so interesting. No, no, no. The fascination is actually connected to the royals. Her connection with the royals and her decision to force Harry to leave and then to basically just go bottom barrel and try to be an influencer after like she left that to marry into the royal family. That's what people find interesting. Is that whole dynamic. It's not her. It's not her talents. It's not her anything to do with actually her. Cause like we've seen her on Netflix now. We've seen her now on Netflix several times. She doesn't have a particular level of talent. It's hard to see the level of talent there. Really, really challenging. So that's not what people are fascinated by. So he's wildly overestimating there. And what we've seen again is that Harry and Meghan, people like to chatter about them, but it's not turning into consumers. He should know this. He has watched this entire time. He knows all the internal metrics on her show. He knows how badly all their other shows have done. Because if you look at the numbers, when it comes to Harry and Meghan's Live to Lead and Heart of Invictus, it so poorly performs after launch that it doesn't even make it into the top nearly 7,000 shows. Netflix starts reporting the numbers if the show has 100,000 views. Neither one of those shows past their releases have made it past that, which means there are no viewings for the shows. They have cratered off a cliff. Polo only got 600,000 views. So did Heart of Invictus got 400,000, I think it was. No, 300,000 because I got 400,000. And then you had Live to Lead, which got actually about 600,000 and then cratered into oblivion. And I think that was a little bit of a holdover from Harry and Meghan before. Now, I want to actually pull up something interesting because I thought about this and I was like, ooh, I should talk about this because this is rather interesting. Because one of the things I have is Meghan got 2.6 million views for her show. Now, what's interesting, guys, is I got for a video one time, one time, way long time ago, I got 3 million views and it has barely crossed 3 million. So I'm just curious here, just going to pull up my internal metrics and look at it. So in the first, so Meghan got in a week 2.6. That video got 2.8 million in 7 days. So a video I did on the Jordanian royal wedding, best and worst dressed at that wedding, and maybe perhaps did better in a week than Meghan Markle's show on Netflix. Now, granted, mine wasn't watched quite that long or anything, and it sort of was like kind of a one-hit wonder. It was just sort of an aberration. It still hit that measure. Yeah, 5 days, 2.7. So I'm just even gonna do 5 days. But definitely didn't get the watch time hers did 100%. But a video I spent probably 8 hours watching that wedding. The video itself to edit took hours and it performed really, really well. And I did it in a very short period of time, within 24 hours after the wedding, actually. Or I don't think I did it that evening. I think I did the next day because it had taken so long. So why does all that matter? Because Meghan has all the resources in the world, and somebody like me without all the resources still got better metrics. Now, overall, she'll probably get better metrics than I do. She'll get more watch time. My video was shorter and stuff. So those things are all different. But I bring that up because he's betting a lot on this idea. And the numbers just aren't there to prove it true. Spotify was the smart company. They were like, screw this bleep show. We're out. We're out. They saw the writing on the wall. Harry and Meghan are difficult to work for. They failed to put together good products. They're overly produced. They're boring oftentimes. Like everything that they put out content-wise has all been pretty dull, to be quite honest. Even their Harry and Meghan thing was kind of dull and slow in places. They're not particularly gifted in this area. And what Ted Sandros or whatever is trying to do is sort of happy talk this thing until it's all done, hoping beyond hope that maybe they recoup some of their investment. Because the thing is, Netflix will run out of money at some point. If they keep wasting $300+ million on The Electric State like they did, what I understand is a fairly crappy generic movie, they're going to run out of money at some point. That movie should have cost $30 million to make, not $300 million. So if you're constantly wasting and throwing good money after bad projects, at some point you will run out. So they have to be smarter here and more strategic. Get with somebody like Jennifer Garner, who already has this little platform that she's built showing her little home cooking show. Like there are people out there on Instagram, on Pinterest, who are doing so much better. TikTok, give them pieces. Don't give Meghan Markle. She can't bring it home. Again, her stuff will sell, but will it survive a year? That I don't know. Will she has product issues? I don't know, because I still think she's using some of her Instagram stuff that she pulled out for American Riviera Orchard. And so it's just crazy to me that to think that she hasn't really rethought the brand at all since the disaster after having the huge trademark hell issues that she did. So let's get over though to why Meghan might be beginning to panic, because this was a weird story. And I have to say, I saw it on somebody else's and I posted on Twitter and it kind of went from there. So I found it because I follow somebody who's sort of a Meghan stan, and she was the one who posted it. And I just was like, what is this? I was so confused. And so I went in and I was like, oh my gosh, seriously? Seriously. It's one of those things where it's like the girl was totally right. And Meghan then sent her a note. But let's look at her Instagram here real quick. All right, just because of like a bunch of different issues we won't go into and watching the whole thing, but she begins by watching Meghan Markle's trailer. And this girl has a pretty big platform, almost 1 million followers on Instagram, and she runs a podcast called Not Skinny But Not Fat. And she has celebrities on there and everything. And she shared some of her thoughts after watching the trailer. And as it turns out, she was 100% correct. And she said, "You guys, I'm scared for Meghan," which is a little dramatic.
Guys, I'm genuinely concerned for Meghan. I am not a Meghan hater at all. It feels like a Blake Lively situation, kind of when people just piled on this woman.
That comes, I think sometimes people think that way because they haven't actually been following any of the story. They don't understand sort of the general bigger context around it. So this is just pointing out what Amanda has said, and we'll get to it here because she points out what she sees is spot on and the criticism that was leveled against her.
I don't know that I'm like her, it's just like, I'm not sure yet. I haven't formed an opinion. I don't hate her like a lot of the world does. I don't know. I understand some people are like, she's inauthentic. I get it. And what I'm so scared for her is that this Netflix show will make those claims stronger. From the trailer, it looks like it might be like.
So she's saying she's heard a lot of people complain that Meghan Markle looks authentic, and she watched the trailer and she saw the inauthenticity. And she's like, I think this is going to play into it, which 100% it did. That was the main criticism on every single front. Every single front had the same thought. So Amanda's right here.
Like, kind of trying to be a Martha Stewart situation that feels a little forced. In the trailer, at least, doesn't seem like she's going to come across relatable, which I feel like she'll want to try to be. And I'm just scared for her. Meghan, why'd you have to go do that?
I think that's kind of funny. Like, yeah, why did you do that, Meghan? Wasn't really a great idea, to be quite honest. Meghan, again, struggles in this vein that she's trying to be in this lifestyle thing. She has to be authentic, and it's something she struggles with. So it just wasn't going to go very well.
Consult with me. Like, I would have told you. I would have told you.
So I think that's funny. She was trying to give her, I try to give Meghan constructive criticism too. And Meghan stans just don't like it. I think it's funny that they say her IG page for the tick had over 3 million followers. I'm pretty sure it did not. I'm basically positive that's not true at all. I think that might have been Meghan's Instagram after the Harry thing came out. I think her Instagram, though, the TIG was at what, like 500K or something. I don't think 3 million is a bit. And that was, again, a long time ago on Instagram. Things have changed a lot since then. So Meghan apparently saw it. So I don't think she actually did. If she did any sort of reaction, it must have been a story. And there's no issue there. I mean, she's, of course, allowed her to have her opinion, but then we get some weirdness. And I did screen grab the stories because I was just like, this is so weird that Meghan is doing this, because to me, this looks like somebody desperately seeking out a fan or trying to find a fan and convert them because they are losing ground. So let's watch this.
Guys, I just got a letter.
So Meghan did her fancy cursive to Amanda and did the little, I don't know what that is. That's sort of weird, but yeah, she needs to do her fancy cursive and reach out to Amanda directly.
And I was like, what is this? What is?
With the dumb monogram. She left the royal family. She just needs to let it go. Just let it go, Meghan.
What is this? What is?
It looks like you're desperately clinging to the past.
This. Started thinking what it could be. Any guesses?
We kind of know. But so she says, remember I said I was scared for Meghan's new show and the possible hate she would get. For some reason, people want to hate on her about everything. She's made a lot of dumb mistakes. She publicly slammed her husband's family over and over and over again. She disinvited her father to her wedding, basically. She has bullied staff members, allegedly. Like, so many different things. There's a reason why. There's a huge reason why people don't like her. And so Meghan sends her a note, which is like, she's stalking Instagram trying to find fans. It's creepy and weird. And here's what it says, if we can barely read it in the fancy cursive. It says, I heard you were feeling scared, which you should put quotations around. Don't be. This is the fun part. Let's enjoy it. The fun part of what? I don't even know what the fun part of what is. It's so silly. She's like obviously framing this beyond shook, beyond spiraling. Did I smell the paper? Yes. Do I own my own monogram? Yes. Am I absolutely flabbergasted and obsessed? Yes. Meghan, you have a fan for life. Oh, so Meghan was basically farming for fans. Got it. Got it. For somebody who says social media is so terrible, horrible, and awful, why is she trying to find fans? That's just a bit weird. It's just sort of weird, a bit stalker-y, and something she doesn't have to do, or she shouldn't have to do. Because when you're at that level, like, why are you doing that? It's bizarre. It's a dumb move. Because here's the thing. There was a bit where a school child, I think they put it out on social media, said he was trying to start some sort of mental health day as his school, and he asked for support from the Prince and Princess of Wales. And Prince William showed up as his school. That is fantastic because it's not about the royal. It's about how they can help somebody else, give them a bigger platform in order to try to help young students. Meghan basically is like, this girl has a big platform. Let's look again and see how many followers. She has 893,000 followers. So Meghan's like, this girl has a big platform. She has a big audience with her podcast. So, let me reach out to her because I've gotten such bad press. If I can convince this one person that I'm this nice, great person, then maybe, just maybe, my show will do better. That I feel like is the rationale here. And that's not a good rationale. That's a really bad rationale. And it looks like somebody desperate. That's a desperate move by a desperate person. So what if the girl is scared? Who cares? It doesn't matter if she's scared or not, because all you need to do, it doesn't matter if Amanda is scared. What matters is that people buy your products. That is the big thing here, which I feel like Meghan is totally not focused on at all. It's actually selling her products. Like, again, we go back to Instagram here. We'll go back to as ever, slowly growing with 712,000 followers. Look at these posts: cabbage, strawberries, onions, blueberries, lemons. Guess what she is not selling? Lemons, blueberries, onions, strawberries, or cabbage. She's not even cutting up raspberries. I thought the whole point was to sell raspberry spread. See, these two posts are correct. This is nonsense. It's just nonsense. All she says here is, it's the first day of spring. Let's celebrate. Bite-sized bliss, daily rituals, simple pleasures. These mean nothing. They literally mean nothing. She has a quote here on this post from Audrey Hepburn about, to plant a garden is to believe in tomorrow. But like, we're not getting stuff from your garden. Like, I don't know where the raspberries you're selling came from. The tea stuff is not from your garden. This sort of nonsense is not good. And somebody pointed out that these bowls, like that bowl is like $400 or something. This one's like 100 or whatever. And so those bowls she's not selling, as far as I'm aware, because she's selling her own products. So this is all wildly pointless. This is all wildly pointless. And so, yeah, there's a reason if you're a Meghan stan to be a bit nervous, but there's no reason for her to seek out stans and try to convert people into being her Uber fans. Why are you doing that? It's just strange. It's unnecessary. If you are so proud of your products, your brand, your company, whatever, then you just let it stand on your own. I really haven't sought out, let's say, a collaboration with a bigger platform to boost up my channel. Yes, I do it with Dan, but that was something where he came to me. Like, I've never been trying to angle in that way before. And of course, there's nothing wrong with it. But I feel like Meghan is seeking out a stan, and I find that a little strange. And then sending her a direct mailer in order to try and boost like her likability. Will she really convince people with that? Probably not. I mean, a handful maybe, but why doesn't she do that to the women who are endlessly, promoting her online, those who try to tear down others in order to lift up Meghan because she knows she's the saint or whatever? Why isn't she sending notes to them too? Because she should be sending notes to them. Why go after a person with a lot of influence? Because Meghan desperately needs somebody else's influence. She can't do it on her own. Her influence is minimal. Yes, people are fascinated, but they're fascinated by the disaster she has made of her life, not of her life. There's a big difference. And as we see this go on, I feel like we are seeing both Netflix and Meghan both starting to hit the panic button a little bit. What if production is not going well? What if there are issues? We know the watch time is not what it should be. Yes, she got a decent amount, you could say, but is it where it should be? Probably not. Did most people probably watch the first 2 episodes and nothing else? Yes. Is that bad? Yes. That is really, really bad. They watched to watch the train wreck. And Amanda was right. And Megan's saying, oh, this is the fun part. What is being mocked all over the internet? That's fun. I don't think it is. And being mocked by people in your own industry basically turning its back on you, that's not fun. And Meghan, I think, is starting to feel the panic that there's not this groundswell of love for her as she anticipated, because most people saw it and went, she's fake. This whole premise is fake. This whole thing is fake. Like everything is fake. And people feel that. And so she has to figure out, I think, how to address things in a more positive direction, because trying to cyber stalk and find a fan is not, at the end of the day, going to fix her failing brand. And yes, there's weirdness, like her address isn't on it. I'm sure Meghan sent it in an envelope, something to that effect. That's probably how it went. So it's not a super big conspiracy, or she had somebody like be able to deliver it through, friends, or through like managers and stuff like that. I'm sure that sort of thing happened. No big conspiracy. But I think the real news here is that things aren't going well in Camp Sussex. They are beginning to worry. They put a lot of stock in something that I think even Netflix is beginning to panic a bit on. Even though they're a passive investor, I believe they probably would wish they weren't an investor at all. But we shall see how everything plays out. It is officially spring now, so Meghan Markle's brand offering should be coming very soon. She also has a podcast coming out, Too Much Meghan, and I don't think people are liking it too much. So maybe she pulls it out, maybe she doesn't, but we will be here. Anyways, other royal news, of course, coming soon. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and I shall talk to you soon. Bye.